US and Ukrainian officials are optimistic about talks between the two nations in Saudi Arabia about ending the war in Ukraine, with Kiev proposing a partial ceasefire. I asked the Sydney Morning Herald's international editor Peter Hartcher what Ukraine is hoping for.
Well, Zelenskyy is hoping against hope that he can persuade the US to do two things. First, to restore the aid and the intelligence that the US had been supplying for a full 3 years. And second, to persuade the US to accept terms for a peace settlement which don't simply outright favour Russia. And he wants some sort of balance and equity in a ceasefire deal. But he is, as you say, he himself isn't coming to the negotiating table with the Americans in Saudi Arabia at this moment. But those Ukrainians, the whole Ukrainian position, really is forced to the negotiating table under duress by the US, by the Trump administration.
Why do you think Saudi Arabia wants to involve itself in these talks? What's sort of in it for them?
Well, the Saudis have portrayed themselves as some sort of an honest broker in this conflict in past months. Also, the Crown Prince, the Prime Minister, has said to Zelenskyy, according to Zelenskyy's readout of the meeting, that Saudi Arabia is interested in investing in Ukraine once the conflict ends. So there's a direct interest there, and it may well overlap with Donald Trump's interest in Ukrainian rare earths and critical minerals.
Yeah, speaking of those critical minerals, that's what the US wants. Ukraine, on the other hand, wants security guarantees and perhaps to even regain territory that's been occupied by Russia, possibly going back to 2014. Something's got to give somewhere, Peter, so who'll flinch first?
Well, you know, Ukraine has gone from having the support of the world's greatest power to now being under pressure from the world's greatest power, as well as under assault daily on the battlefield from the Russians. The Trump measures against Ukraine have been swift and savage, particularly cutting off targeting intelligence for the Ukrainians, without which it's flying a bit blind. Donald Trump has even ordered private satellite imagery companies to stop supplying high-quality imagery, battlefield imagery, to Ukraine. He's really tipped the battlefield, and that intelligence cutoff has had an immediate effect. The end to logistic support, weapons, munitions, that'll take longer to affect battlefield operations, but the intelligence cutoff has been swift and savage. So who's going to blink is your question, Girish. All of the odds are now with Putin. Donald Trump isn't asking Putin so far to make any concessions. He's not nominated a single thing that he wants from Russia, which only confirms the emerging picture of Donald Trump acting as some sort of agent. I don't mean in the traditional spy agent sense, but as a force for the interests of Russia and a force for the interests of Vladimir Putin. He said that Ukraine may not survive as a nation. He was asked, are you comfortable with US support leading to that outcome? And he said, well, they may not survive anyway. He's demanded that the terms that Ukraine accepts are terms that Putin has long demanded. One, that Ukraine membership of NATO is permanently ruled out. Another, that the invaded and occupied areas of Ukraine currently occupied by Russia, some of those should stay with Russia, as you mentioned. So it's difficult to see Putin coming under any pressure to have to relent on those terms and conditions. Marco Rubio has said that this meeting that they're in the process of holding now has been set up to try to find where the Ukrainian positions might be and which concessions they're prepared to make. So this is an exploratory meeting, but it's hard to see how Ukraine can win with this set of forces ranged against it.
And whatever happens then with the deals that might be signed in the future, Vladimir Putin will be in power for quite some time. Is there anything then to stop Russia further invading Ukraine again? As Zelenskyy said multiple times in that explosive meeting at the Oval Office that Russia had broken multiple ceasefires in the past.
Absolutely. Well, it would depend on whether Zelenskyy is able to get a guarantee of some sort of security protection, security guarantees from these negotiations. The British and the French are leading an effort to construct a peacekeeping force that could potentially be on the ground between the two combatant states in the event that a peace agreement can be reached, or some ceasefire at the very least. And that's the deal to which Anthony Albanese has said Australia might be interested in supporting. But Zelenskyy has said that without security guarantees, with NATO and US participation, that there could be no guarantee that Putin wouldn't just start the war again after some period, as you say, Girish, simply launch another invasion. There would be no protection against that. So hence Zelensky's emphasis on the need for security guarantees. And so far, Donald Trump has shown zero interest in offering any security guarantees. And Vladimir Putin has said that any NATO troops from any NATO nation would be unacceptable on his terms in settling this war.
Yes, on those peacekeeping missions, Moscow has told Canberra to pretty much back off. Should Anthony Albanese take these threats from Moscow seriously?
Well, I suppose he should take them seriously, but he shouldn't yield to them. The truth is that the Russians would do anything they could to harm Australia in any case, as a supporter of Ukraine, a country that supplied $1.5 billion worth of military and other aid to Ukraine and a US ally. But he has his hands full at the moment, and Australia is a long way away. He's no friend of Australia's, and I doubt that there's much more that he could do to harm Australia's interests. But it's been reassuring to see both Albanese and also Peter Dutton from the opposition continuing to support Ukraine, refusing to ape Trump's position and simply abandoning Ukraine to Russia. But then, as you say, Albanese going a step further, offering potentially to support the peacekeeping deal with Australian participation, and telling, in response to those threats from Russia, telling Russia that it should just get on with the business of ending its illegal and immoral invasion of Ukraine and not showing any sign of being intimidated whatsoever.
Okay, Peter Hartcher, really great to get your analysis. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thanks, Girish.